Hey YouTube, what up? It's your boy Taicho, and that's my Dark Lord X, and we're on a quest to take over the internet. So we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to do a really brief recap of the work that we've done so far with regards to building our One Piece database, and while I'm doing that, X is going to head over here and check out what that weird artifact is over there. So in the previous two videos, essentially what we've done is we imported a bunch of different packages, primarily Beautiful Soup as well as URL lib request. Those packages will allow us to communicate with the websites that we're looking to web scrape. From there, we defined a function called clean input, which will help transform the HTML data that we get into a more neater format so that we're able to work with it appropriately. Afterwards, we defined a couple of variables here. These are URLs that a generic URL and a starting point URL that will open, and using those we'll be able to create additional URLs based off of some of the code below. From there, we created two blank lists. We're primarily focusing on this saga link list. Afterwards, we created variable soup, which takes the opened web link, story arcs HTML that's been parsed and kind of stores that there. And then the meat of what we've done is this for loop, which essentially goes through and parses the HTML data and looks for these two particular words, saga and arc. If it sees that, it takes the title from the text that it's received and appends that to the URL base link that we created, and it appends that to the saga link list. And that's essentially what creates a list of the saga URLs. From there, we defined additional variables that we wanted to get fields for, so the volume, chapter, episode, and date. After that, we created a little data frame, and then we ran another for loop, which, and I see X is getting our first battle chip, which is pretty cool. That's our first analytical battle chip. It's a dark chip, Python. It'll help us write code a little bit more expeditiously once he's installed it. Yeah, and then continuing on, so we had another for loop where, so now that we have a list of links and we have additional fields that we wanted to add, we created another for loop that goes through that list of links, opens the links, and looks for these keywords again, and then if it finds it, it's able to go and parse the HTML and add that specific data to the list. And that's essentially where we are now. So I'm going to print an output of where we've left off. And as X continues to head over here, he should have installed that battle chip. So here's the data frame that we have. I printed the actual data frame in the columns, since not all columns can print here. But you can see we have a link, a volume info, chap info, ep info, date info. And if we look at this date info, we notice that it's like really messy. It's not really usable for us, but there is some meaningful information if we can just go and grab it. So that's where X is going to come in. I've kind of set it up so that we have these 5 different steps that we want to work through. We want to basically format these origin columns, create columns off of those for each of the variables, so volume, chapter, episode, and date. And then we'll update it, and then hopefully that gets us into a much cleaner format, and maybe we'll have our first actual table. So X, can you show us, or can you create a script that formats and creates columns for the volume data? Nice. So he's kind of output that. So I'm basically just going to copy and paste the output that he has. Let me add this here. A little print. And then can you do the same pretty much for the next couple variables X? If you could do one for chapter, episode, date, and then I'll work through them as they come up. So let's just see what this does for us. I'll rerun the script with this here. Hopefully no errors. Okay, so you can see we have additional columns now. So we started with this volume info, but now we have a volume start and end. It's still kind of messy with this end text, but you can see basically what it's done is it's taken these numbers and split it. So we know the East Blue Saga, which I actually just went through and reread, and Usopp is definitely underrated as a character. He has really just moments throughout the story where he just kind of really humanizes everything, and he's pretty good. Yeah, but you can see we have a 1 and a 12, so volumes 1 and 12 define this saga, and since X has done that for some of the additional scripts, I'm just going to copy and paste them in here. So we should be able to replicate this format for the chapters, the episodes, and the dates. So he's kind of just outputting that stuff, and I'm just going to come here. So what we've done now, and basically what we're doing is, which is not the best way, we're using regular expressions, we're replacing a bunch of unnecessary text, we're splitting at different points to kind of separate the numerical values that we need, and you'll see in my future scripts, I did this a little bit more efficiently, but since this was my first time going through, it's a little bit messy, but it is what it is. So yeah, he gave us that for the volumes, the chapters, the episodes, and also some date ranges, which is pretty cool. So let's rerun this script and see where we are now. I'm just going to do it twice actually. Okay, so now we have a bunch of new columns. We have the link, the volume info, chap info, episode info, date info, start. Basically all that for a lot of different fields, but you can see it's still kind of messy. So that last two scripts he gave us, we're just going to update the final rows. We're going to drop a column, the date info we don't really need anymore. We're going to plug in some NAs, and then we're going to pretty much look for this syntax, this /n, this // and then the /n/n. Fill NAs with blanks and see what that gives us. So I'm going to move this up here. Oops, sorry. Do that. Don't need this. Probably don't need that as well. So we're going to reprint our table one more time and see what we have. Okay, so this looks cleaner. We still have a couple dashes in there, but looks pretty good so far. And now basically what I'm going to do is just add this onto one more thing. So we'll start. I'm just going to add one last clip here. It's going to merge our original data frame that we created that had the links and the names with this one. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, So here's essentially what our final output is. I'm gonna have to add, I think, the volume stuff here to get rid of some of that syntax as well. But basically, this is what our final table will look like. It'll have all this info. It'll have the links, so we can open this up here. It brings us right to the web link, which is pretty cool. You know, we can validate volumes 112, chapters 1 to 100 with the data that we see in this table here. And essentially, that's going to be the first table that we look to import. This is a cool data frame format, but if we want to use it ongoing in the future, we want to put it in our actual database. So stay tuned. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and are enjoying this series. And if you are, please hit the subscribe button. It goes a long way for helping increase the reach of these videos. Let me know if you have any questions on the code in the comments. Also, let me know what your favorite sagas are. I'm about to reread Alabasta Saga. As I said, East Blue Saga I think is pretty underrated. If you're caught up with the manga, stuff is popping off in the final saga. Wano Country, way too long of a saga. Mad action. Water 7, most people's favorites. Third of Arc, probably forgettable. Summit War, probably where 70% of the One Piece fandom joined in. And then some other sagas. But yeah, let me know your favorite sagas in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.